I don't want to insult you, but I will come over. I will stand at an area that you want to calm the traffic, and I'll show you how to calm the traffic.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says his government will introduce legislation next month to ban the use of speed cameras across the province.
You're going to put speed bumps on Kennedy Road? Seriously?
And Mayor Olivia Chow is pushing back against the province's plan to get rid of speed cameras. We're going to have reaction from other GTA mayors coming up.
And the Blue Jays look to bounce back after a brutal loss against the Red Sox last night, with no room left for error in their fight in the division title.
This is Live at 5.
Hello, I'm CJ Liu. Thanks for joining us.
I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. So Premier Doug Ford is doubling down on his promise to eliminate speed cameras.
Today, he announced he'll table legislation as soon as next month to ban the automated speed enforcement program, promising to give municipalities money to implement other traffic measures. Ford has repeatedly said he thinks the cameras are just a cash grab and aren't proven to be effective.
We will have permanent signs in place along with other traffic calming measures that really slow people down. This includes new flashing signs like the ones behind us right here today that will slow down drivers in school zones and protect students. It also includes speed bumps, roundabouts, raised crosswalks, curb extensions, and other types of enforcement that will keep communities safe without squeezing more money out of the taxpayers.
We've seen stores broken into. We've seen more proliferation of what I will call real crime, with real criminals perpetrating that crime and victimizing too many of my residents these last few weeks than I ever thought would be possible. The other message that my residents have conveyed to me, which I will convey to you, and I've explained this to the Premier and he knows it instinctively, the people of this city, and I suspect the people of Ontario, want us to focus on what I will call the real criminals.
And Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow is rejecting Premier Ford's claims that speed cameras are about revenue.
I'm sorry, he's wrong. The money actually, a portion of it, go to the provincial coffer, to the Provincial Victim Justice Fund that funds the victim services of Ontario. So people like Holly Roy can get the counseling she needs when her 8-year-old son was killed. So the other funds, the police officers that are on the road to keep people safe, the safety program, that's from the police, not general revenue.
Meantime, Burlington's mayor says their newly installed cameras are in school zones and she wants to keep them there.
If I had the ability to maintain these in front of schools, I would. Unfortunately, I don't. And so I'm asking the Premier not to penalize those municipalities that want this. Those municipalities and mayors that do not want these in their communities don't have to put them there. This is a voluntary program. And all of the revenues we plan will go into funding traffic calming measures, which means that those measures are lifted off of the property tax base. They're currently being paid for by our taxpayers, our good drivers.
Brampton City Councilor Rowena Santos says that the cameras are about public safety, not revenue.
That is always the premise of these tools. And in fact, it was the provincial government in 2020 who wrote legislation to allow municipalities to use this tool in order to make our streets safe. It is not a cash grab. And again, the fines are set by the province of Ontario legislation. But what we do know, Beatrice, municipality after municipality who has implemented it, particularly in the city of Brampton, we know it works.
And for more reaction, let's bring in CP24's Beatrice Baseman, who joins us live from Etobicoke. And Beatrice, this has been a very divisive topic. What reaction are you getting from people?
It has been really divisive, whether you're talking to municipal leaders, mayors, or you're talking to just, people on the street. I'm sitting in front of a school here in Etobicoke. I've spoken to 3 people outside of this school. There's a speed camera right here in this school zone. First of all, you can see that there's red, looks like spray paint that at one point someone used to vandalize this camera. It has since been replaced. And just this month alone, some 20 speed cameras in Toronto were vandalized or torn down. That's one issue. When it comes to opinions, 3 people I've spoken to. One says he absolutely hates them. He doesn't want these speed cameras. He agrees with the Premier that they're cash grabs. The second one, a father who told me he agrees with them only in school zones. And the third, a woman who says these cameras have to be there. There's kids here. So that's how divisive this issue really is. You heard from Councillor Romino Santos there from Brampton. She says that in Brampton, there's evidence that where these speed cameras are, it has reduced speeding by about 9 kilometers per hour. Mississauga, very similar data. And despite the fact that Mississauga's Mayor Carolyn Parrish says she typically agrees with the Premier, she says that on this issue, she does not agree with him and will be taking it up with him at a dinner party tonight. Here's more from Mississauga's Mayor.
For every single person who gets a ticket and calls us and yells and screams, we get 10 or 20 parents at a meeting that'll say, thank you very much for putting them up. So I'm disappointed. I usually agree with Mr. Ford. I get along with him very well, but I don't agree with him on this one. I'm hoping we can get some exemptions and some modifications.
And so some of the other municipal leaders are calling for compromise. They want to sit down with the Premier, have a conversation as to how to utilize existing cameras outside of school zones specifically. That's the chief concern here. As for, the general public, people love them, people hate them. Some people don't believe that they actually deter speeding. And in fact, in the city of Toronto, one camera alone, a single camera, issued 65,000 tickets. And so that's the Ford government essentially saying, well, it's not deterring behavior. It's just racking up tickets and costing taxpayers a lot of money. Others saying, well, hey, if you didn't speed, and perhaps the speed limit on those cameras can be adjusted to reflect an appropriate number that the province has the power to actually implement, that could be a fair compromise. Here's a dad who I spoke to just outside of the school in Etobicoke.
I live around the corner. This street's a 30. People don't get fast anyway. It's, there's sharp curves and everything else. I go to work at 5:30 in the morning. I drive down here to slow down to 30 at 5:30 in the morning when school's not in session. It's just a cash grab. That's what I feel.
So what happens next as we show you live pictures of this particular speed camera here in Etobicoke? If this piece of legislation is passed when it's tabled next month, and it very likely will, Bakari and Sija, why? The Ford government's got a majority government. It'll be debated and then very likely passed. Once it gets royal assent, all of these machines, they can't issue tickets anymore. They'll have to have large signs in school zones letting drivers know to slow down. And then by next year, you won't see this infrastructure anymore across the province of Ontario. Back to you.
All right, CP24's Beatrice Vaisman reporting live. Well, Toronto police issued more than 3,500 tickets. This was during a recent road safety campaign.
Between August 25th and September 13th, officers focused on education and enforcement of laws on micro-mobility vehicles, including bikes, e-bikes, and scooters. 179 tickets were issued in that blitz, and a back-to-school safety campaign during the same period focused on speeding and distracted driving in school zones. More than 3,300 tickets were handed out for that one.
And a pedestrian's dead after being hit by a vehicle in Brampton.
The collision happened on McLaughlin Road near Steeles Avenue at 1 a.m. Police say the pedestrian was taken to the hospital in critical condition and didn't survive. The driver remains at the scene. There's no word yet on if any charges will be laid. Peel Police's Major Collision Bureau is investigating.
And Toronto police are investigating a hit and run downtown. So police say a pedestrian was hit in the Queen and Church area shortly before 7 o'clock this morning. The vehicle did not stay. It's described as a black pickup truck. A woman in her 60s was taken to hospital, but the extent of her injuries is not known.
It's 5:09 and sticking with the roads, let's check in on the commutes with CP24 traffic specialist Adjoa Nsiayaboy. Adjoa, how are the roads holding up?
You know what? They're not holding up all that well. So many problems have been making for a slow go for the commute home this afternoon, and big problems from the morning still are with us. This is on the QEW Niagara bound, just as you make your way through Eastport, past Eastport actually. So 2 right lanes blocked from a much earlier truck fire. You do have a couple of left lanes getting by, but because it is rush hour and this problem's been there for so long, this is what the delay looks like. It extends from well before Appleby line. And then if you're on the Toronto bound lanes of the QEW, this is right at the top of the ramp to Cawthra. Left lane out, that is following a stall. 401, a couple of problems. We'll start eastbound 401 in the Express. This is just as you make your way on the approach, actually through Dufferin. Center lane blocked with a flatbed truck. That's stalled. And then more problems further east on the 401, also in the Express. Right lane and shoulder blocked because of a stalled truck. Outside of camera view, getting word of a collision of blocking lanes on Dufferin and Major Mac. I'll send it back to you both.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
2 people have been injured in a stabbing in Scarborough.
This happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is at Benjamin Boulevard and Safari Street near Midland and Eglinton. Police say that officers responded for reports of a fight. They later found 2 men identified as a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old. Both have been stabbed. And paramedics say that one of them has serious injuries, but no suspect information is available.
7 people from the GTA are facing charges after the RCMP say they dismantled a sophisticated dark web drug trafficking network.
Investigators say that a criminal enterprise known as Roadrunner used the dark web to distribute narcotics across the country. Police allege it was responsible for shipping about 400 packages weekly, 75 kilograms of different drugs, cocaine, meth, heroin. They were seized along with 10,000 prescription and non-prescription pills. So police say that this is one of the largest drug trafficking operations conducted via the dark web in Canadian history.
Now, this story has the newsroom talking here. A man born in Stouffville has been shot dead while in the U.S.
32-year-old Giovanni Michael Robinson, who went by Mike, was on a golfing trip in Wisconsin. So Robinson, who lived in the U.S., was found fatally shot. This is on a street in Sheboygan Falls. This was late Tuesday night. No arrests have been made, but police believe that the shooter was in a small, dark-colored SUV.
It's 5:11, 21 degrees. You're watching live at 5.
And coming up, changes are coming to Canada Post and your mail delivery to deal with the Crown Corporation's financial woes. Well, Canada Post is reducing door-to-door mail delivery. This is in an effort to shore up its finances.
The change is expected to increase the time it takes Canada Post to deliver letter mail from an average of 3 to 4 days to an average of 3 to 7 days. The federal government cites the shrinking volume of letter mail and the Crown Corporation's small share of the parcel market as reasons for the change. It says Canada Post needs these changes to achieve financial stability and maintain reliable service. Joel Lightfoot is the minister responsible for Canada Post. He discussed how bad things have become for the Crown Corporation.
Since 2018, Canada Post has accumulated more than $5 billion in losses. Last year, in 2024, it operated at a loss of $1.3 billion and required an injection of $1 billion in January to keep it afloat. In the second quarter of 2025, the corporation lost $407 million, their worst quarter ever. And at present, the corporation is losing $10 million every day. In short, Canada Post is effectively insolvent, and it is facing an existential crisis.
Well, Ian Lee with the Sprott School of Business says that today's decision is a step in the right direction for the Crown Corporation.
The data was screaming at us that this was the Canada Post desperately needed to be restructured and reformed to deal with the fact we're no longer in the old analog economy of 100 years ago or even 30 years ago. We're in the digital economy. Okay, that was then, this is now, and what the government did today was, as I said, long overdue, but absolutely essential. There are no alternatives. Mail is down by 65 to 70%, the number of pieces delivered from over 5.5 billion pieces a year to 2 billion and continuing to fall.
Canada Post will now have 45 days to go over the government's proposals and come back with a plan on how it will proceed.
Well, the union representing striking college support staff is getting ready to return to the bargaining table.
OPSEU says negotiations with the College Employer Council will resume tomorrow with the assistance of a mediator. Thousands of workers walked off the job earlier this month after failing to reach a new contract agreement. They are seeking better wages and benefits, but the union says job security is its top priority. The College Employer Council claims meeting the demands would result in $900 million in additional costs.
Well, there's now a date for Hudson's Bay to begin selling off its collection of artifacts.
An Ontario court says an auction of 4,400 items belonging to the fallen retailer can begin on November 12th. The trove includes more than 1,700 pieces of art. It does not include the royal charter that created the business in 1670. Hudson's Bay plans to sell that document through a separate auction, but it isn't expected to seek court approval for that plan until next week.
It's 5:16, 21 degrees. This is Live at 5.
A new report is showing where jobs in Toronto could be done from home. We'll take a closer look at that next. Prime Minister Mark Carney is on his way to the United Kingdom, where he'll meet with world leaders to discuss trade and geopolitical issues.
Carney's expected to be in the UK until Sunday. He's scheduled to meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, as well as leaders of Iceland, Spain, Denmark, and Australia. The Prime Minister's office says that he'll sit down with business leaders and institutional investors. It's part of a broader push to advance trade with international partners.
Premier Doug Ford took aim at the federal government and what he feels is judicial overreach over a move to have the Supreme Court of Canada weigh in on the provincial use of the notwithstanding clause.
It's not just this premier. It's premiers across the country are on fire. This is the worst decision Prime Minister Carney has ever done, and it will be an absolute disaster. And I don't believe it's going to go through. It just takes Quebec and Ontario to block it. You need 2/3 of the premiers and 50% of the population. So why is he wasting his time? He should get back to work and focus on what areas really matter.
Ford's comments come after the Carney government filed a factum asking the Supreme Court of Canada to set limits on how the notwithstanding clause can be invoked. The government argued that provincial overuse of the notwithstanding clause amounts to indirectly amending the Constitution.
A new study from Statistics Canada shares where in Toronto jobs can be done from home and how reimagining office space could help with housing.
According to the report, up to 3,600 jobs in the downtown core and along Yonge Street could be performed from home. The study defines a role that can be done from home as one that doesn't require work with the public, outdoors, or the operation of machinery and equipment. The authors suggest the spaces could be converted to address Canada's housing shortage.
Well, the study comes as Premier Ford orders more Ontario civil servants back to work, in the office, that is, even as similar changes at the federal level have complicated Ottawa's plans to get rid of some of its real estate. And the federal government had planned to offload half of its office portfolio by 2034. Last year's budget projecting a savings of nearly $4 billion over the next decade. Ottawa says that plan has now changed due to the updated directive about working in person.
It's 5:21, 21 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And we're live inside the Rogers Center. This is where the Jays are getting ready to take on the Red Sox in the series finale tonight. We're going to hear from Jays manager John Schneider next.
Well, it's been a tough one for the Jays as of late, but tonight they will be looking for a way to spark their offense as they continue their series against the Boston Red Sox.
This one is in the air to right center. It's deep, and it is gone.
Okay, so last night at Rogers Center, Boston used a 3-run homer in the 8th to make it 7-0. They held on to win the game 7-1. The Yankees beat the White Sox so that they are now tied with the Jays atop the AL East. The Jays do hold the tiebreaker over the Yankees if they were to finish the season tied. Both teams have 4 games to play, so the teams meet again tonight just after 7 o'clock.
And Blue Jays manager John Schneider spoke to the media in the dugout before tonight's series finale.
We got to get back to what we've been good at. I don't want guys pressing. I don't want guys trying to do everything all by themselves. The the way we're built is it takes everybody, you know. So I think getting back to that is going to be key. And it starts in the first inning. You know, we got to come out. We got to score some runs. You got to be convicted to your approach, and I'm confident they will. So it's been a tough stretch for sure, and it really, as cliche as it sounds, this stuff happens over the course of a long season. I think it gets magnified because we got 4 games left, but you got to really focus on how to win tonight.
Scott Belford, host of the Walk-Off podcast, says that the Jays bats, they need to step up to the plate in the remaining games.
They still have put themselves in a very good place to win this thing. They're tied with the Yankees right now, but hold the tiebreaker. So if you were to just end the season as we are right now, the Blue Jays do win the division. There's 4 games remaining, but they need to start putting up some hits. Yesterday, the Red Sox held them to 3, and that is just not going to do it if you are going to clinch the AL East. So an incredibly huge game here tonight in the final of the series against the Red Sox.
Now, regardless what happens, the Blue Jays are in the playoffs and tickets are on sale now. Fans will have a chance to secure a spot in the Rogers Center stands as the team plays in the postseason for the first time since 2023. Single game tickets will be available through Ticketmaster.
Well, the official FIFA World Cup 26 mascots have been unveiled.
Good morning, Canada time.
So adorable. Maple the Moose is representing Canada and is one of 3 FIFA World Cup 26 mascots. Maple is described as an artist, music enthusiast, and dedicated goalkeeper with a heart full of strength and leadership. Mexico will be represented by Zayu, the jaguar, who embodies the rich heritage and vibrant spirits of the country. Clutch, the bald eagle, will represent the United States, described as fearless on the pitch and uplifting off it. Clutch unites people wherever they go. The mascots will welcome the host nations around the world and inspire young fans during FIFA World Cup.
Okay, the Leafs, they're going to hit the ice tonight to face off against the Canadiens in preseason action in Montreal.
Now, Toronto is coming off a 3-2 overtime loss to the Senators on Tuesday. The defeat came after the Leafs beat the Senators in the first exhibition game. Montreal is undefeated with wins over Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. The Leafs and Canadiens are also set to meet when they open the regular season next month. Puck drop for tonight's game is 7 o'clock.
Okay, former Raptor star Kyle Lowry is taking on a side hustle.
Prime Video announced today that Lowry has been hired as an NBA analyst, even though he's still playing for the 76ers, a busy guy. The point guard signed a multi-year deal that includes select appearances this season. Lowry is set to embark on his 20th pro season that includes 9 years here in Toronto, where he, of course, helped bring the Raptors their very first championship.
It's 5:28, 21 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says his government will introduce legislation next month to ban the use of speed cameras across the province. We'll have more reaction.
I don't want to insult you, but I will come over. I will stand at an area that you want to calm the traffic, and I'll show you how to calm the traffic.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says his government will introduce legislation next month to ban the use of speed cameras across the province.
You're going to put speed bumps on Kennedy Road? Seriously?
Mayor Olivia Chow is pushing back against the province's plan to get rid of speed cameras. We'll have reaction from other GTA mayors coming up.
And the Blue Jays look to bounce back after a brutal loss against the Red Sox last night, with no room left for error in their fight for the division title.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Sija Liu. Welcome to Live at 5. Premier Doug Ford is doubling down on his promise to eliminate speed cameras.
Today, he announced that he's going to table legislation as soon as next month to ban the automated speed enforcement program, promising instead to give municipalities money to implement other traffic measures. Ford has repeatedly said that he thinks the cameras are just a cash grab and are not proven to be effective.
People are fed up. They're tired of getting tickets for 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers over. That no officer that I have ever met, and Mark can speak on this, no officer would ever give you a ticket for 5 or 6 kilometers over. Matter of fact, you'd never get pulled over if you're going 5 or 6 kilometers over.
Mayor Olivia Chow says the speed camera ban will mean more cost to taxpayers.
Now, where's the money going to come from? If the province cancel the speed cameras, that's going to come from your pocket. Tax, law-abiding citizens. I think it's fairer for if you break the law and speed illegally, pay so that other people can be safe.
Mississauga Mayor Carolyn Parrish says that the revenue earned from speed cameras in her city, it goes directly towards road safety.
We put in speed bumps, we put in more signs, we put in flashing lights. We put it all back into the community where the money is raised. And I hate to tell you this, but we put in 10 times more than what we're raising. So if he thinks he's going to do that for all the busy areas in all the municipalities, it's going to be crazy expensive.
And Burlington's mayor says all their speed cameras are located near schools and they're proven effective.
This is a way to get people to slow down in front of our schools. It works. It's about saving lives. And I hope the Premier rethinks this and lets municipalities that want these around our schools have the ability to keep our children safe.
And CP24's Beatrice Vaisman joins us live from Etobicoke with reaction. Beatrice, I'm pretty sure you're hearing a lot of concern from a lot of different people because, I mean, hey, even around here we have questions like, you know, when the speed cameras go away, what happens to my tickets?
Well, the Premier is saying that anyone who's already been issued one of these tickets from one of these automated speed enforcement cameras, it's up to the municipality to decide if they're going to be canceled or not. Something tells me that it won't be canceled, but moving forward, if this bill passes, more like when this bill passes, because the Ford government does have a majority government, these cameras will cease to work. They are a hot topic. They're a talker. People love to hate them. Some people love to vandalize them. You might notice this camera behind me here in Etobicoke. It's got red spray paint that was once around the camera. Clearly, it had to be replaced and fixed up. Just this month alone, some 20 speed cameras across the city were chopped down as well. People getting frustrated. And just as you're hearing differences of opinions between municipal leaders, it's the same thing I'm hearing on the street. Here's some reaction.
Close to the school areas, I think it's good. It's a good idea. But the rest, I don't know exactly, but yeah. But I think it's good for, especially close to the school areas, yeah.
Why?
I think it's a good idea. Yeah, because, to protect the kids, you know what I mean? And try to be more safer here. So yeah, it would be great.
I think we should keep them. It makes people slow down, especially in areas that are high risk for people who need more time to cross the street.
And if it's making millions of dollars for the city and it's a penalty for breaking the law, then to me it makes sense to uphold those rules.
A bit of a cash grab. I think if they were really concerned with speeders, they would find the people who are much more aggressive and deal with them.
Well, I'm against speed cameras. I don't think they give people any kind of leeway whatsoever. I think if you're 1 kilometer over, you're going to get a ticket.
The Premier calling these cameras a cash grab, pointing to the fact that there's one camera in Toronto that has issued 65,000 tickets. That one camera alone, saying, hey, it's clearly not acting as a deterrent. Others, though, saying it is making a difference. Both Brampton and Mississauga saying their data suggests that in school zones where there are these automated enforcement cameras, people are slowing down in their presence by about 9 kilometers per hour. They say it is having a difference. Sick Kids Hospital put out a study earlier this summer showing people slowing down in school zones because of these cameras by about half as well. The Premier saying he respects sick kids, he respects the police chiefs that speak out in favor of these cameras, but he thinks there are better ways to deal with speeders. When it comes to Brampton, I spoke with City Councillor Rowena Santos. Typically, she and Mayor Patrick Brown agree with Premier Doug Ford. Not in this case. Here's what she told me.
We know it works. Sick Kids Hospital, TMU, CAA, the doctors, the chiefs of police, And in the city of Brampton locally, we have evidence and data showing that it changes behavior and it slows cars down. And by possibly canceling it, we haven't seen the legislation yet, we are potentially throwing out the baby out with the bathwater on a public safety measure that is saving lives.
Santos saying she's seen Premier Ford in the past, concede when a piece of legislation that he's put forward isn't necessarily so popular with municipal leaders. She's hoping that in this situation there could be a compromise, some conversation to keep them in place in school zones specifically. That's really what she and some other municipal leaders are fighting for, school zones with these cameras. But if and when this passes, Bakari and Sija, essentially once it gets royal assent, this legislation, these cameras, they go bye-bye. And instead you'll see big flashing lights that are telling drivers to slow down in these areas.
Yeah, that would be a huge change if it does happen. Beatrice Baseman reporting live from a school zone in Etobicoke. Thanks so much for those reactions. Turning now to a story in Vaughan. A man is dead after an industrial accident.
This happened around 2:30 this afternoon at a concrete company near Kiel and Teston Road. York Regional Police say a 63-year-old employee of the company was killed when a concrete slab fell on him. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The Ministry of Labor is now investigating.
A man convicted of murders in Toronto and Vancouver has been captured in Cotter 3 years after escaping from a jail in BC.
Rabi Al-Khalil was considered one of Canada's most wanted fugitives. He had been on the run since 2022 after escaping a pretrial detention facility in Port Coquitlam. This is while on trial for murder, which he was later convicted in absentia. He was also convicted in the murder of Johnny Raposo, who was shot on a patio in Little Italy in 2017.
It's 5:38, 21 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And coming up, the findings of a report that looks at the plans of first-time home buyers in Canada. A new report is highlighting the plans being made by Canadians who are looking to get into the real estate market for the first time.
Royal LePage says 13% of adults are working toward buying their first residential property within the next 2 years. 53% say they intend to put at least 20% down on their purchase. 41% say they will receive financial assistance from family or friends, while 51% will not. The report also found that single-family detached properties remain the most popular housing type among first-time buyers.
Interestingly, though, the home ownership rate isn't changing. We're sitting, even in our most expensive city, which is Vancouver, it's still at 62%. And overall, about 2/3 of Canadians own their homes. So people are finding their way into homes. I do feel for those who don't have help from friends or family, because the number that are getting help, family help, is increasing over time. It's been a steady rise through the millennial generation.
Royal LePage says that finding a home that's move-in ready, that was ranked as the most important factor for first-time buyers that was not related to price.
A recent U.S. policy change that introduced a $100,000 fee for H-1B work visa applications is prompting many skilled engineers to rethink their future in the country.
Yeah, as uncertainty grows south of the border, Canada is quietly emerging as a new destination of choice for global tech talent, and there's a growing opportunity for companies ready to welcome them. Andrew Chow, the co-founder and CEO of Neo Financial, joined us live earlier today with more.
Canada, I think one of our strengths is that we generally, are, there with open arms. And I think especially, now is the time to take advantage of that. I know at Neo, we've, already hired outside of H-1B, but we do look internationally for international talent, and the Canadian government has already set up some of the infrastructure to make it seamless and easy, where there's a program called the Global Talent Stream Visa, where it's a way to get a working visa here in less than sometimes 2 to 4 weeks.
H-1B visas require a bachelor's degree at minimum and are meant for high-skilled jobs that tech companies have trouble filling. Critics have said the program hurts American workers as it brings foreign workers willing to work for less money.
It's 5:43, 21 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Coming up next, changes are coming to Canada Post and your mail delivery to deal with the Crown Corporation's financial troubles. Air Canada is now revealing how much this summer's flight attendant strike impacted its bottom line.
Yeah, the airline estimates that it lost $375 million in operating income as a result of the three-day job action. It now pegs its full-year earnings at between $2.9 and $3.1 billion. That's down from between $3.2 and $3.6 billion it projected in August. The cancellation of more than 3,000 flights during the strike is expected to drag down Air Canada's operating capacity by roughly 2% this quarter.
Starbucks will be closing hundreds of stores in Canada and the U.S. as part of a plan to turn its business around.
The Coffee John says that it's going to shut locations that do not have a path to financial stability or have spaces that don't meet customer expectations. The company expects to end its fiscal year with 434 fewer stores than it had at the end of June. It is also planning to lay off about 900 non-retail employees.
And the federal government is ordering sweeping changes at Canada Post in an effort to make the Crown Corporation financially viable.
The changes include ending door-to-door mail delivery for most households within the next decade. And the changes are also expected to increase the time that it takes Canada Post to deliver letter mail from an average of 3 to 4 days to an average of 3 to 7 days. Now, the federal government cites the shrinking volume of letter mail and the Crown Corporation's small share of the parcel market as reasons for the changes. And Joel Lightbound is the minister responsible for Canada Post. He says that the changes being announced are just part of the solution.
Taken together, these measures will help stabilize Canada Post's financial situation by generating close to $500 million per year. But there's more work to do. As our government reviews its expenses so that we can spend less and invest more, I'm asking Canada Post to do the same. In addition to the measures I'm announcing today, the corporation must adapt. I'm asking Canada Post to take immediate steps to address its financial challenges. That means finding efficiencies, reducing costs, reducing overhead, and I want to be clear, that also means reviewing and lightening its management structure.
Canada Post will now have 45 days to go over the government's proposals and come back with a plan on how it plans to proceed.
And for a closer look at these stories, we're joined live by retail analyst Bruce Winder. And also, Bruce, I do have to let you know that we are getting breaking news. CUPW has just announced that all members are on a nationwide strike. So with that, let's start with Canada Post.
Yeah, I mean, the Canada Post situation, it's a long time coming. I mean, I think most people agree that the business has lost about $5 billion over 7 years. And the way mail is delivered is just totally different than it was even before the pandemic. So I think this has been a long time coming. I think it's the right thing to do in terms of trying to loosen up some of those constraints on Canada Post. I think it's interesting, too, that the minister mentioned that he expects Canada Post to sort of lighten the load from a management and overhead perspective as well.
And staying on Canada Post, over the years, they have needed bailouts from the government over and over again to stay afloat. Do you think the changes today when it comes to door-to-door mail delivery will be enough to keep Canada Post alive for good?
Well, I think that it's a good start. I think the minister mentioned it's about $500 million a year. I think they're going to have to find another, call it $250 million a year of overhead cuts, so they can at least break even. I think if they break even, that's a lot better than where we are now. I think we do need some form of mail service to parts of Canada, but again, how that looks is very different now than maybe how it needed to look 10 years ago.
So, Bruce, what does this mean not only for small businesses, but for customers as well?
Well, I think a lot of customers and small businesses have actually started using other means, whether it's other couriers or Amazon or different things like that, to get packages delivered. Only about a quarter, I believe, of Canadian households use the mail service right now and have the mail service, I should say, delivered to their home. So, I think it's not unreasonable for Canadians to pick it up if we can save that much money and avoid bailouts every year for Canada Post.
And let's turn over now to the news we're getting from Starbucks. They're closing down hundreds of stores in Canada and the U.S., also laying off hundreds of workers. I think when it comes to Starbucks, right, we all know people that can't live without coffee. So it's quite surprising to hear them say they're facing financial struggles. What does it mean to you when you hear a company so big as Starbucks saying they need to make some serious changes?
Yeah, I wasn't very surprised by this. It's actually the second sort of layoff or pruning they've had this year. They have a fairly new CEO in there. He was brought in from Chipotle to turn things around. Starbucks has had 6 consecutive quarters of declining sales. their financial statements are a bit of a mess right now. I think their operating profit was down 40% last quarter. So they're in need of a massive turnaround. They've got a game plan, but sometimes, things have to get a little worse before they get better. And, they're trying to go back to that third stop, if you will, in your life, work, home, and Starbucks to hang around. And some stores just don't make the cut in terms of their footprint and aren't financially profitable. So they've had to make some changes, unfortunately.
Well, along those lines, Bruce, could this be an opportunity for growth for those like local coffee shops here?
Yeah, it could be. You know what? There is a nice sort of growth. There is a nice niche for these local coffee shops. A lot of people during the trade war have wanted to buy more Canadian. Some people don't like Tim Hortons for various reasons. Some people don't like Starbucks. So yeah, it creates an opening for them to get back in the game again locally.
And can you talk about the strategy Starbucks might have moving forward? Are they closing these stores just because of foot traffic? Is it not a good location? What might they be doing moving forward?
Yeah, probably a combination of all the above. What they're trying to do is they're trying to reinvent their store network and have a number of stores feel like they did, originally 10, 20 years ago, almost like an Italian cafe where people stay there a long time, sit down, read a book, do their email. And they're also looking to increase staff during peak hours and things of that nature. So, some outlets, some stores just don't cut the mustard. They might be just a pickup spot. They might not have the room for people to sit down, or they're in a bad location. So, they're going to get rid of those stores and try to reinvest in new ones that have greater potential.
Okay, from Canada Post to Starbucks retail analyst Bruce Winter. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, folks. Take care.
It's 5:53, 21 degrees. This is Live at 5.
We are live inside the Rogers Center tonight, where the Jays are getting ready to take on the Red Sox in their series finale tonight. They've already lost 2. They don't want to get swept. Can they get it done? We'll hear from Jays manager John Schneider next.
The Blue Jays are going to be looking for a way to spark their offense tonight as they continue their series against the Boston Red Sox.
This one is in the air to right center. It's deep, and it is gone.
Last night at Rogers Center, Boston used a 3-run homer in the 8th to make it a 7-0 game, and they held on to win it 7-1. The Yankees beat the Red Sox, so now they are tied with the Jays atop the AL East. The Jays do hold the tiebreaker over the Yankees if they were to finish the season tied. Both teams have 4 games left to play. The teams meet again tonight just after 7 p.m.
A Blue Jays manager John Schneider talked to the media in the dugout prior to tonight's series finale.
Every team goes through different stuff, you know what I mean? Red Sox have, Detroit's going through it, Cleveland's going through it, Mets are going through it, Yanks are going through it. We are. It's a mental grind, and the fact that it's coming down to the last 4 for the division. If you were to tell me in spring training, hey, you got the best record in the AL with 4 games to play and you control whether or not you can win the division, everyone signs up for that. I think the way we've kind of arrived in this situation today has not been ideal over the last week, and it usually comes down to the last few games.
Scott Belford, host of the Walk Off podcast, says the Jays bats need to step up to the plate in the remaining games.
Well, they just haven't been scoring runs, so they need to find some way of getting their offense going. And I'm not sure exactly how you go about doing that, whether it's maybe shuffling the deck a little bit when it comes to the batting lineup, or whether it's just leaning on some guys that have done it before. Bo Bichette getting injured definitely hurt the offensive output of this team, but every single organization in baseball deals with injuries, and so the Blue Jays just need to find a way to get it done. Our megastar, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., stepping up would be incredible.
Well, Canada's women's rugby team is going to compete in the Rugby World Cup final this weekend for just the second time ever.
Can you believe it? Canada 34, New Zealand 19.
They'll take on England this Saturday in front of a sold-out crowd of 82,000 fans. It's the largest audience in women's rugby history. Canada advanced to the championship match by beating the reigning world champion New Zealand Black Ferns on Friday. Canada scored 5 tries in that match and won 14 out of their 15 total lineouts.
Out to Allianz Stadium this weekend. We know there'll be lots of English supporters, so we'd love as many Canadians in the stands as possible. Winning this weekend would mean the world to me and to us and to Canadian rugby. I think we've never done that, such an achievement. I don't even know what it would mean yet because it hasn't happened yet, but I'll be really, really happy to have done it with the team. Please come out and support us, and if not, tune in on back home on the broadcast.
It's 5:59, 21 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24.
And we leave you with a live look inside Rogers Center, where the Jays will try to win their series finale tonight against the Red Sox. There are some fans hoping for a different turnout tonight. Thanks for joining us. CTV News is next.